This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof. Wolff question from our Patreon community. This one comes from JMU, and it reflects a question many of you have sent to me. Bluntly, here's what JMU asks. Having worked in a co-op, JMU's noticed that everybody comes and does their job, that's fine. But when a meeting is called to talk about larger or longer term problems, nobody wants to go, everybody scatters. And that reflects the kind of questions others have put this way. I want to know I can go home when the day is done. I don't want to stay for another meeting. I don't want to, etc., etc. So it raises the general problem. If you have a worker co-op and the design is democratic, and you wanted to serve the people in a way that they never got served when they were merely employees of some employer out to make a profit, what do you do with people who don't want to go to meetings, who don't want to work on the more broadly defined or more long-term problems? How do you handle that? Well, first of all, I want everyone to understand it's a real problem. And I don't want to shy away from that at all. It'd be very hard to run a worker co-op if only some of the people are doing the co-oping and the rest of them are opting out of what is cooperative. That's a serious issue. It's part of a larger issue that's always a serious issue. You might call it work-life balance. That's what the Europeans call it. How to organize your work life so it's in a proper balance with your personal and home life. This is crucial. Capitalists are only interested in you for the work you can do to enhance the profit of the employer and the business. Hopefully, a worker co-op, a democratic one, doesn't have so narrow a set of objectives. It wants to make the whole of your life, the work part and the non-work part, relevant. And a worker co-op would, in my opinion, have to honor that, if anything, much more than any capitalist society ever has or could or would. So how do we handle a real problem like that? Well, first, it's important to understand that the desire to get home at the end of the workday is very much a capitalist phenomena. Given the way most workers are treated in most jobs, it's very understandable that they want to get out of there at 4 or 5 o'clock, if not sooner. That's why the bars call it a happy hour. They know very well how you felt in the hours before you got there. So I would say a worker co-op starts with a benefit. It isn't going to treat workers during the workday anything like they've been treated in a capitalist, hierarchical, top-down enterprise. The next thing I would urge is that we take the word democratic very seriously. In other words, all the workers together, one person, one vote, need to democratically decide what exactly are the obligations of all the members of the co-op. For example, at one extreme, they could decide democratically that it's up to each individual to decide whether or not they go to certain meetings of the co-op. Others may decide, oh, no, 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 no. That would create a division between those who go and those who don't go. That would very quickly become those who decide, those who don't, those who run the business, those who don't. And that's the very thing we want to get away from. Somewhere between those two polars, opposites, a solution will be found. But it is extremely important that it be found democratically. Let me suggest what some of the in-between points look like. You could have a rotation. You don't have to go to every meeting, but you have to go to a minimum of X meetings. Wow. You might even schedule everybody for which meetings they go to. Would be extra work because you'd have to bring up to speed the people who missed the last meeting. And then that would have to be discussed. Is that worth it to give people the right to miss me, or is it damaging? And you could make experiments and try something for 6 months and then meet and decide collectively whether you want to adjust it. I would urge everyone to understand, though, that meetings don't have to happen after work. One of the things a democratic collective could do is what many unions have done over the years when they've been strong enough to say to the employer at a contract time, one of the new stipulations of the new contract is to give workers time off, time that they're paid to do the work of the union, because the union is part of what determines the work and the quality of the work that gets done here. So we want that recognized. We don't want to make workers stay over. You get enough benefit out of the discipline and the solidarity the union brings to your workers that you should pay for it. And it's a demand of ours as unionized workers. Could do that. You could make meetings part of the workday. That would have costs and benefits. Again, the central point, that could be, and it should be, a democratically arrived at decision. Just as it will be a decision whether each enterprise can make that decision of itself, or whether there are some social rules that will likewise democratically apply to all enterprises. So it's really the difference in how that question is answered. It's not a question of accepting what either individuals want or what some employer wants. That's what's no longer going to be the decisive factor. If these kinds of videos strike you as interesting, please share them around. That's why we produce them. And you can partner with us to do that. I also want to urge you to visit our website, democracyatwork.info, and join our mailing list. It's a way to be informed of everything we produce. We will not fill up your email box. Twice a week is the maximum, and you will be kept abreast of everything that we do, and you can make use of it. It's all free of charge as you see fit. Thank you.